Hello, everybody, and welcome to 'Cause I Said So. Hey, Mom.
Hello.
That's right. I co-host this podcast with my mother. She's my coworker.
Who you call?
Content Kim.
Yes.
Her first name's Kim, and I call her Content Kim. My name is Alex Bennett. My mom and I work at Barstool Sports. We're both in New York City right now. If you're new here, we're going to give you a little bit of background before we interview our very first non-Barstool guest, the one, the only, Heidi D'Amelio.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! I know, I'm so excited to have her on today. Huge first guest.
Yes.
And she's the perfect first guest. She's best known for being Dixie and Charlie D'Amelio's mom. And you probably want me to give a little backstory on who they are for those that might not know.
Yes.
During quarantine, Charlie started making TikToks. Okay, that was 2 years ago. Fast forward to now, she has 131 million TikTok followers.
Oh my gosh. Is that the highest amount of TikTok followers you can have, or that's out there?
Yeah, you named it, Mom.
Wow.
She's the most followed person on TikTok. That's incredible. Her sister Dixie followed shortly behind and does the most. She has the voice of an angel. She is so talented. So she's more into singing, just as big. She's incredible. They are an incredibly talented family. And Heidi's their mom. And you probably guess what we do on this podcast. We talk all about a mother-daughter relationship because that's what we are.
That's right.
You're my mom.
Now I'm your mom. And they are a very talented family
Through and through.
through and through.
They're a fun family.
But they seem like they have a great relationship, all of them.
Yes, absolutely.
The husband and wife have a great relationship, and then mom and dad with daughters, and the sisters have a great relationship, it looks like.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's fun. You can watch them on their Hulu show, follow on all social media platforms. They're a huge family. They moved from Connecticut to LA recently, and they are blowing up. They're on fire.
And a lot to learn just from watching them.
And absolutely, lots to learn from watching them. No, they provide a lot of value. So just a little backstory on what my mom and I do. We host this podcast together. We're new to Barstool Sports. So during quarantine, I started making TikToks of my mom, and that's what eventually led us here to having this podcast. We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram. The podcast is called 'Cause I Said So, even though my mom swears she never said that growing up.
I did not.
I remember it. What a great name for a podcast anyways.
Yes.
Maybe it's your new favorite podcast. I don't know. We're only on episode 7. So we're new here at Barstool. First non-Barstool interview. Without further ado, welcome Heidi D'Amelio. Hello, Heidi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. How's New York been?
Love it. I love New York at Christmas time.
It's the best.
It's the best.
Have you done one touristy thing for Christmas?
No.
Nothing.
No.
I like that.
No, but I would love to go see the Rockettes. We used to do that all the time, but we just didn't have time.
Yeah.
Are they doing that? Is that happening?
Yes.
I thought so, but
Yeah.
we go and we get the little rocket thing and you press the button and the skirt would spin like the girls. We have a collection of them.
That's
So
amazing.
cute. Of course, I keep everything, so.
Everywhere, yeah. Do you keep everything?
Yeah, it's a problem. Mark's like, do we have to have every single art thing they did from preschool? Do we really need them all? So I'm like, okay, I'll just take pictures of them all and I'll get rid of stuff.
All right. Do you get rid of them, or
It's
do you
fun.
still?
I would like take pictures of them and then take the photos and make a photo book. So I have like,
that's good.
And you'll actually follow
Consolidated.
through and make the book?
yeah. Well,
I
they
love
stopped
that.
doing art when they were,
Yeah.
They're not doing
Well, I did the books until I actually liked the art enough to actually hang it or keep it.
Ooh.
So, yeah.
No, it's fun, but when they're little like that and they do art,
They do art all day, every day.
But it
So
kind of
it's-
looks like some of the artists that we buy,
I know.
spend a lot of money on.
Yeah, you're like, it's the same.
true. It's
As
so
long as it's a
true.
big scale. Okay, I like that you brought up, because we're gonna start with childhood. So
Let's
speaking
go.
of doing art, okay, my first question is like, what was it like growing up at your household? But I kind of have specific bullet points that I want you
Okay.
to talk about. So do you just want me to ask you like that?
Yeah.
Okay, breakfast and dinner, was that at the table?
It was mostly at our island for some reason. So we had 3 chairs at the island. So Dixie and Charlie would sit on one side, and Mark and I would stand on the other. I don't know why that is a thing, and we always did that. Not like consistently, because Mark always worked from home, so it's not like he was up and out the door. It was a very casual morning. The girls both liked to sleep in from when they were little. I would have to wake them up to go to kindergarten. Most kids are awake. So that was like rough. And then, so we would kind of do breakfast like that. And then dinner was it would change over the years. So there was a lot of days where Dixie was racing BMX bikes. So like 4 days a week, we would be out the door in the evenings racing. And then Charlie had dance rehearsal, or if it was competition season, we were like doing that. So it wasn't like set thing. And also Mark worked from home. And if you have two parents at home, I feel like the structure isn't as quite there, because it's not like, oh, dad's home from work. Like, he's just always home, which is how I had it. So I love that. But so it wasn't super consistent, but we were always together. That was the one thing. Unless they were at their sports or dance or whatever, we were always together. I don't know where we were eating and what we were doing and what time, but we were together.
I love that.
Talking, that's good.
Yes.
Yeah, as long as you're that's what they say,
Yes.
as long as you're talking. Okay, so did they read a lot of books, or did you guys watch a lot of TV?
We were probably more TV and music. There was always there's like dance parties. There was always microphones in the house, so I was always a backup dancer. I don't sing. Mark and Dixie and Charlie would like run the mic, and Charlie would dance as well. So, and Mark used to break dance, so he and Dixie would do that together.
Oh, wow.
There was just a lot of music, but yeah, TV, and the girls grew up watching American Idol. They love that. And more, but yeah, of course they would read. They had their things they loved, but more TV.
And music. You talked about on your
music.
podcast, you're like, when we have the music on, we're like alive.
Yeah, that's what sucks about like everything we film, because you can't put it on YouTube. You can't, like for our Hulu show, you can't have that music on, and it's just we're not the same when there's not music on it. The second that the camera stopped rolling when we were filming our Hulu show, we cranked the music, and they would be like, oh, this is what we want people to see. Like, this is who you really are. It gets, and our island is now like a stage. So that's the whole thing, which is fun.
That's fun. And does Mark really have like a DJ set?
Yeah,
like going
full on. It's really nice. He actually got offer to do a gig in Vegas.
Did he
I'm
really?
like,
That's
do
awesome.
it. He was like, I'm not ready yet. I'm like, you would tell the girls, just do it.
Yeah.
What's the big deal?
Yeah, take your own advice.
Take your own advice. So he hasn't done it yet, but the offer is out there.
I love
that's
that.
great.
That's
But
great.
he, on our, like, when we go to bed, we always stop there, and he does a little set. And I'm just like, well, we used to have a sofa right there, so I'd lay on the sofa and he would DJ, and I'm on my phone and I'm recording him, and then his sets are short. And I'm like, I need more. He was like, I don't work here. I'm just like,
I
that's
want to
my
go to
little
bed.
practice. So
That,
anyway.
your
But I
house
love
sounds
that.
very fun.
It is fun.
Yeah, it
We
sounds
have
like a lot of fun.
And a lot of talented people live in it.
It's very, very talented household, to say the least. Okay, so what's one family tradition that you love? It could be anything.
Oh, well, this is my favorite thing. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to when I was a kid. I have a big family, and so we would do like, there would be a few birthdays in this month, so we would combine them whenever we could all make it. Mark's family does go out to dinner on your birthday. That is one of my favorite things ever. It doesn't matter if, like, let's say Charlie had dance or Dixie had practice. After that, we're gonna go. Even if it's on a school night, it's fine. And that's one of my favorite things, because it's like, even though it's like the middle of the week and hectic, and even the kids sometimes would be like, maybe we can go later, or they're tired, and then we go and end up having so much fun. I'm glad we stuck to that. That was fun.
That's a cool tradition.
That is a cool tradition.
Okay, last family question, I guess, is when did Dixie and Charlie get cell phones?
So Dixie, kind of her whole 5th grade class, because after 5th grade it moved on to middle school, a lot of the kids were getting cell phones, and the parents were all like pretty close, and so we were all having that conversation. So that was the plan for the 5th grade graduation. Dixie gets phone, and so that happened. And then shortly after that, so Charlie was going into 3rd grade. Mark cracked his phone. And so he went in to get a new one, and he and Charlie were like besties. She was always with him, especially when they were going shopping. So they go off, and he comes back with a new phone, and she has a phone. I'm like, Dixie and I are like, what?
What just happened?
She's in 3rd grade. He was like, it was cheaper to get another line. I'm like, you are a sucker. Is what I'm seeing. Charlie's like, so she got in 3rd grade, but it was the novelty to have it was fun. They didn't really do anything with it. You know, they didn't really they wouldn't even take it with them. They would play on it, play some games, but they weren't really into anything just yet.
Is it like a flip phone?
No.
No, it's like an iPhone.
They probably didn't even make a flip phone then, Alex.
Probably not, yeah.
Not that. Yeah, there was actual. Dixie, they got iPhones. I was like, what? This is not how I expected this to go. And of course, to this day, Dixie's like, well, Charlie got a phone when she was in 3rd grade.
Yeah, you'll never live that down.
Well, yeah,
that
you don't
down.
forget that one.
So Heidi, for you, how's it changed? How has motherhood changed for you since the girls blew up? Like, has it been completely different? Is it a whole different set of skills?
No. I mean, I feel like the girls they're still having the same sort of things going on in their, whether it's what they're feeling or their emotions or relationships, friends. It's the same. It's just there's a lot more eyes on it. So probably a lot more patience with that. Whereas maybe before I would, like, come on, we got this, we gotta go, like, you have to get to school, that kind of thing. This, like, they can take a little more time to take a minute, because it's not just that. It's that with a whole lot of eyes on it.
Yeah.
So I think that, but other than that, I feel the same. One major thing is at an age of 17 and 20, when the last place kids want to be is with their parents, we are together a lot, and they're actually, I don't want to speak for them, but they have said this themselves, like they actually enjoy like being together. And so we're together a lot for a time where it wouldn't normally be like that. So that's probably the biggest change. Like they were Charlie was 15 and Dixie was 17, 18, and they were already like doing, between sports and school and dance, they were always gone. And then all of a sudden we got them back. And that was like really nice.
I bet.
That's pretty special.
It is special.
I feel like you guys talk about a lot on the show and on your podcast, how you're like, we're always together. Do you feel like you need each other more right now too? Or it's just that you happen to be together?
I feel like they always knew we had their back. I think sometimes they'll get nervous, like if something, and they have to tell us, like, you really thought I was going to be like upset about that? Or Mark, the things they think we're going to be annoyed at is, we're like, where did that come from? When have I ever proven to you that is something I would be annoyed at? We get annoyed at stupid things, I will be honest. Like, when Dixie doesn't wash her makeup off before bed.
Oh!
Yeah,
I'll see her online, and I'm like, hey. you need to
wash your face, girl.
Excuse me.
So, like, stupid stuff like that, but I don't know.
So
It is
always
nice
remember
to
it.
all be together, and I think sometimes for Dixie it's too much together.
Okay.
But because she does live on her own. But I will say she's on this Jingle Ball tour, and she's other people on her team will say, like, she's always asking, "Are Mom and Dad here yet?" Like, they're like they say that, like, your kids actually want you guys around.
Well, you guys are pretty fun.
No, you're really fun.
Until we get around, and then they're like, oh.
Can you leave? Can you not
No,
ask
they
me
would
about my
never say
makeup?
that, but they're very sweet.
Wait, that is, so she'll ask them if you're there yet?
Yeah.
Oh, I love
Wait,
that.
is that them? Is there a bus here? We were in Dallas for the first show. They were leaving the hotel to go to the venue, and we had just gotten to the hotel from the flight because they were going to sound check. And we were on like a Sprinter van. It was my family and I, and they were taking off. She was like, wait, I think that's my mom in this van. She got out and she ran out, and it was so cute.
That is so cute.
Because I hadn't seen her, because we were in Louisiana for Thanksgiving. Then she and Charlie went back to LA for rehearsal. So I didn't see them. We didn't see them for like 3 days. She was
She was excited to see you?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I don't know. That's like my favorite thing you said so far, because
Yeah.
it's like when you're little, you don't want to start your dance recital or your volleyball game if your parents aren't out
That's
there.
Right. Yeah.
Like, and that never changes.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's pretty special.
I know. I'm
Okay,
very lucky.
how are you able to, in the show, like, we saw Dixie struggle with like comets and things like that. So how are you able to take off the protective mom hat and like give her advice, or do you stay protective mom hat?
I've evolved a lot. Well, not a lot, but I'm getting better. A lot of times it's them telling. I will type some response out,
Okay.
and then I'll delete it, and then I'll feel them. I'll feel them out, and I'm like, ugh, I should just like say it. She was like, Mom, stop. You're just gonna make it worse. Just don't even bother.
You'll type a response back to the comments.
But I won't send it.
Okay, you'll just
I'll
type it.
delete it. It feels better to just type it out.
Sometimes it does.
Even if I delete it, it feels better. And then I'll kind of feel her out, like, well, maybe she'll be like, yeah, tell him.
Let them know.
And she's like, it's just not worth it. Don't even bother. So I try not to look at it, but also look at it enough to be aware of what's being said and that kind of thing. And it's just hard. I just really, I do a deep dive on the people sometimes.
Oh, you'll look at them.
What am I doing?
Their pages.
And then I'm like, you know what? Let me just. And we tell the girls this all the time, like, let's just focus on, look at all these positive comments. Like, those people matter, and let's give them the attention that they would appreciate instead of the other way around. So we do kind of remind them of that, and then I have to remind myself of that.
Do you look at just like Heidi's posts, or you're looking at Dixie and Charlie's too and looking at those comments?
I look at everything.
Yeah, no,
But I do it a lot less. Like, we've just been a lot busier recently, and so I haven't looked at anything. And so I did, and I was like, yeah, this is much better not to look. Yeah. So I don't really look.
But you've probably gotten better over time.
I will say, and this is when I see like people on the come up and I see them going back and forth with the comments, I'm like, no, don't do that. And I'm like, wait, I still do that sometimes. I got to remember that. But I feel like and we did this, like, you get caught in this trap because, like, everybody loves you, and then all of a sudden it turns, and then you're getting all this hate. And we were battling it, and it's, like, not worth the battle. Just, like, and that's my biggest advice to anybody coming up, because it's your natural response to like want to defend yourself, and there's a lot of lies, so you want to set the truth straight, and there's just it almost looks like, if you would say, if you're looking at this as a profession, like unprofessional, like you're so much bigger than that, you don't need to do that. But we are literally just stopped doing that, so I'm not trying to say we're good at it, but I can already see how it's just not a good thing. It's not good for yourself, and you're never going to get to them all and change their mind or whatever. So.
Is it harder for you to read the girls' negative text than your own or comments? Yeah.
Yes, by far.
That's a good question.
I'm like, oh, come on, just be nice.
Yeah, be nice.
Well,
to my
will
babies.
tell you. You know what's hard for me?
What?
Okay, a lot of people, especially on TikTok, will get famous by making fun of the people with the big following. Oh. And then what they don't realize is, okay, now you've blown up, and now we're all in the same room. And that happens all the time. And I'm like, this happened very recently, and I was like, I don't forget. I forget a lot of things, but not those kind of things, so I'm like, oh.
That's a good point.
I did not say anything. I wasn't overly nice, but I did not say anything. It bothers me. Like, you went out of your way to make video after video after video attacking my kids, and now you're like, oh my God, let's make content. No.
Right, and you're like, you grew out of meanness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like
a mama doesn't forget.
And then, like, I know there's some people that did start that way and realized quickly, like, I don't want to be that. I am better than this. This is how I grew, but this isn't me. And they've made a nice change. And also, I know someone that did that and also commented on it. Like, I never realized I'd be in the same place with these people, and they're actually really nice. So I don't want to do that.
Do you respect that?
1,000,000%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool. It's never too late to change.
Exactly. Every day's a new day.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I have to ask this because I always think about with my kids what traits they got from each parent. What did your girls' best and worst traits get from you?
I would love to know what Mark would say about this, because I feel like we have different things. I think that Dixie's worst trait she got from me is assuming she has more time to get somewhere than she does.
Oh, yeah.
I am really bad at that. And Mark he hates to be, well, I don't like to be late. I'm like, we have plenty of time. And he's like, no, we don't. Let's go. So that's really bad. I don't know about good treats because I don't like think of myself that way. I see a lot of good traits in my kids. I don't know if they necessarily got them from me. Dancing from
I was
Charlie.
you're the backup dancer. That says something.
Yeah. Charlie, worst trait. Charlie's, well, I don't know if it's, when she was little, this was really hard, is Dixie was very much go with the flow, like, oh, can I, like, shower, done, about to go to bed, can I go play outside? Can we, like, maybe we could do this tomorrow? Okay, fine. Charlie would give you, like, a PowerPoint presentation on why it was a good idea. Like, all right, I mean, it's not the worst idea. And then she would get her way. That's, like, it was hard to parent that. Because I was very much, like, you know, no, we're not doing that. But then, like, all right, well, she has, like, a lot of good reasons.
Yeah. There's a couple good points in there.
Let's go.
You know what?
And
Now
Dixie
I
would
want
be
you.
like,
What?
I just asked, and what happened here?
I said,
So
said
basically, Dixie would just ask Charlie to ask us everything.
Oh, that's funny.
No. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Is that the way that works?
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
You ask him.
So, okay, growing up, what was one thing that you instilled, like, over and over again in Dixie and Charlie?
Well, I mean, a lot of little things, I think. One thing was, if they were somewhere, let's say a birthday party when they were young, and it was at, like, a place, like a bounce house place or whatever. Like, just when the party was over and we were leaving, not only telling the parents and, like, the kid whose birthday was, thank you, but all the people that worked there that served you the pizza and poured your water or whatever, like, just making sure you tell everyone thank you before you leave, wherever you are. Like, nobody's invisible. Everybody played a part in that. And even now, like, on sets and stuff, like, I'll still, did you tell everyone thank you? Like, I did.
I love that.
And then
Oh, I
sometimes
do
I'll
too.
check.
That's good.
I'll
That's very
check.
good.
You'll check? You'll go
I'll be
see if
like,
they did?
Did they say thank you? They're like, yeah, they did. Crazy.
That's no, that is so cool.
But that's super important to me.
So your team, like the way somebody treats the wait staff, says a lot about them.
1,000,000%.
That's our girl.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I like
that's
that.
very important. So I think your life probably looks a little different than you thought it might, but it sounds like you guys have a lot of, you did dancing and talent and things and modeling. How different does it look compared to what you thought it might look?
I mean, the obvious things, like hanging out with people we probably would have never hung out with, but for the core of it, it's kind of the same. Like, as far as, like, the sarcasm, the jokes, the music, the dogs, like, I mean, the business that Mark was in, because he's in the clothing business and he represents a line that does sports license. So we were always at games, and, like, he did a lot of work with Madison Square Garden, so he was close with them, so they'd be like, hey, do you want to come in the suite for this concert? So we were doing that. Like, we did a lot of that already, just with the nature of his business. So it just looks a little different now, because it's like we're going to actually see Dixie perform in Madison Square Garden. That's crazy. But, you know, the kids grew up doing that stuff. Not grew up, because, you know, his business didn't really get really great until maybe Dixie was in, like, 7th, 8th grade, and things started really going crazy and, like, being super successful as a sales rep for Mark. So we were always, you know, going out to dinners and doing, like, fun things. And Mark is very spontaneous. So, you know, I remember one year the kids woke up, opened Christmas presents, and then I was, like, making breakfast, and they're playing with their stuff, and Mark's like, you guys want to go to Disney World? We had 5 dogs and 4 chickens. And I was like, so when are you thinking? He was like, well, there's a flight at 2:30. I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
Are you kidding?
and the girls were young, so it's like I'm packing myself, you know, overseeing their packing. We still have 5 dogs and 4 chickens. Like, how is this going to happen? The flight leaves at 2:30. It's like 10 in the morning. He was like, oh, you know, life's short. Let's just go. I was like, all right, we made it happen. But
You went?
We went, and it
Wow.
was like the best trip ever.
Wait,
So
I bet.
he does that a lot.
So Mark's very spontaneous.
Very, very.
Is that really fun for you?
I am not that way naturally,
Mm-hmm.
so I feel like I always say, I feel like I'm always the one bending. He was like, but this is the best way because it's always ends up being fun. So I can't really argue with that. I think it's good for me. I think I would be too structured, too like, oh, let's, I'm like, eyes open. I have to eat right away. I like sit down. I have my breakfast. Like I'm very methodical that way. He's like, let's go for a ride. He likes to go for a ride in the car because he works from home. So he likes to get out. And so, his spontaneity has always been so fun. But it is stressful in those moments of like, I got to get everything situated.
I gotta juggle all this.
Now.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but he still does that.
Do you feel like Dixie and Charlie got the spontaneity gene? Spontaneous gene?
Dixie, yes. Charlie, so she lives by her calendar and she will like go through it. Okay. Like if one thing is changed in the calendar, she was like, here comes the FaceTime. I'm like, what happened? This was supposed to be, and then she goes, I don't know why this changed. Like this, I went to sleep and it was this way and I woke up and this was changed. And now because of that, this, and this is going to happen. So she likes her structure. I think that's just part of like growing up being a competition dancer. Just everything was very set and like just even packing to go on a trip. She doesn't really love to leave the house. She's getting better at it. But packing would be so stressful because when we would pack for a dance competition, it's not like it was close. So if you forgot your red ponytail holder in the group number, like you're done. So anytime she goes anywhere, she could be gone for 3 months with what she has in her bag. She's like prepared for everything. And I think just that like made her very structured in how she does things and like routine. Right. And so we always did push her. She didn't love it. She's starting to like it a little bit more now.
To be more spontaneous?
Yeah.
Or like, okay.
A little bit.
Does Mark have a calendar that he follows?
He has a calendar. We have to at this point. And, but even, I mean, he structured his career to fit his personality. So he would, when he was working, when he was out of college, and he would get the Sunday night blues, and he would just like got this pit in his stomach about going into the office, and he was like, I can't do this. So he ended up being a manufacturer sales rep, and he would rep like licensed apparel. And he's done that, and so he works for himself. I mean, not everybody can do that either.
Right?
No.
You really, as much as he seems all over the board, he is very like disciplined in what he does, and he's really good at what he does, and he's been doing it for years. So he is, but it's like good for the way his brain works. Very much ADHD and all over the place, but so to be able to, I'm not going to take meetings until Monday afternoon. Like I can ease into the week, and that makes my Sunday that much more enjoyable. Like he thinks about those things.
That's smart, actually.
Yeah, it's impressive
Everyone
he
should
did
do
that.
So he has like structured his career to work with his brain.
That's very smart.
And it keeps him, like he loves what he does. Like people think he doesn't have a job, an actual job. He still has the same job, and he loves what he does, and he's really good at it. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
You made the comment after listening to their podcast. She was on the plane and she like tapped me. She was like, they're like really in love. This is a really good podcast. This is cute.
You guys are really cute together.
No, it's really sweet to watch.
We are in love, but we actually really like each other. Like we don't get sick of hanging out together. I think that's a thing. People don't like they like, oh, I need to go out with the girls or the guys or whatever. Like we're always together. We always have been.
It's always
like,
been
literally, if I walk in the other room and I don't tell him where I went, he was like, where are we going? What are you doing? Can I come? Where are we going? Or if like he would order in and the food gets here, he was like, the food's here. Do you want to go on a field trip? I'm like, okay, I'll go with you.
Like
so
you mean go in the car and eat it? Or
no,
go get
walk from the living room to the door to go grab it from the guy.
And you'll do it at the same time?
Yeah. He was like, come with me. I'm like, okay.
Okay, that is so cute.
It's very
Did your
funny.
marriage change at all when you moved to LA or not really?
Well, I don't. Did my marriage change? I would say we're able to we work out of our house and our team works out of our house. So I think the change is when there's, no offense, Kaylee, when there's no one in the house, like we don't want to leave. We're like, oh, I just love the house.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's just me and Mark and Charlie. Whereas normally, because he worked from home, we were always like, let's go out, let's go do something, let's get out of that. Like, that's probably the biggest change, which isn't like a change in our marriage, but it does shift, like, you're spending time together more at home than out. So, but we have to explore California a little bit more. We haven't hardly done anything. So that's like on our list. We were supposed to go somewhere. We were supposed to go to San Diego in, I think, October. And then we had to cancel it because we had like a million things going on. So we're just going to start putting them on the calendar. I think that time outside of what we're doing is going to be important for our marriage, talking about how did it change for our marriage. I think those are the things that, I think we would be doing that more if there wasn't all this stuff going on, you know? So I'm looking forward to that.
Sounds like Mark would be good at exploring a state.
Yes.
I know, he's so good.
With
He's
a
so good.
spontaneous attitude.
Yeah.
You guys must have had a really rock solid foundation because you just, I feel like you took this whole thing in stride. And like when we watch it, we're like, they are cute. So that's pretty special.
I feel like I would like to think that we're pretty solid. And so, I mean, if all this went away, we're having a blast. We don't want it to go away. This is our reality now, and we're going to grow and, you know, start businesses and help other people, like, you know, seeing new people coming up and, like, you know, how can we help them because we've been there, you know, doing that kind of thing. And just taking the opportunity to put the spotlight on other people, but, like, do it in a way where we can just, like, we can give someone something, but let me help you let me teach you and then help you. Like, that's what we want to do more. So, I don't know. And talk, I know one of the questions I had heard was going to be asked about the podcast. And that's what I want to say. Like, we did it, I don't even know how long we did our podcast for, but maybe like 25 episodes or something. And we talked about what was going on, but it wasn't until the last one we filmed or recorded that it clicked for us. Like, I feel like our best asset is to give information to help other people when we were in the beginning, and like, what's the difference between a manager and an agent? Like, I have no idea. Like, all those little things. No. And that's what we're excited to do more of, not just on our podcast, but just in general, is to like share that information and be a help to people, because what's the point of keeping it all to yourself?
No, I listened to those podcasts, and I thought the ones where you were giving the advice to telling the difference between the managers and all that, I thought those were great.
I love that.
Yeah.
You took notes.
I did. It was really good. No, it was
and
very
we have
helpful.
so much to share like that. So I just, like, we both feel like that's something we really want to do to give back. I mean, it's fun, and, you know, all of this is great. And doing those kind of things, like, that's what we find happiness in. But if all of it went away and if someone said, okay, all this is away, no following, go back to your old life in your old house, we would be completely happy. Like, we had a great life before this.
Yeah.
It sounds like it. I believe it. Yeah.
But so to follow up with what you were just talking about, though, so what is your favorite part about social media, where, since we have the ability to put so much of your life out there, what's your favorite part about social media and putting yourself out there?
We've met some of the most incredible people that, I mean, I couldn't even imagine not knowing them. I mean, even Jordan that works here, like, she was one of the felt like one of the only people being nice to the girls, or when everyone else it was like a trend to hate on them. So I don't know, like, I just randomly saw her on my For You page, and I was like, I sent it in our family group chat. I'm like, oh my God, she's being so nice. And I'm like, but let's see if she stays nice. And then she was like consistently nice to all these kids that were growing so quickly. And I was like, whoa. And I just kept saying, don't change. In my head, I didn't know her. But, like, I want her to see that you can be nice and still grow. And you don't have to the negative will get more views, but just stay on that. And she did such a good job, and I was so happy to be able to meet her in person today, because I feel like we're friends now.
Yes.
But just stuff like that, meeting people that have this thing in them that is bigger than just them, and they want a platform to share and sometimes don't know how. And so if we can ever be a part of that, we'd love that. And then for me personally, I get a lot of DMs from girls, like 20-somethings, like, I don't have a mom, or we don't have a good relationship. And I always look at you, I'm like, I'm always on the verge of crying in the best way. Like, it's so touching. And so that's probably my all-time favorite thing, is like, if I can just be there. That when we were in New York City at the Jingle Ball concert, and before Dixie came out, there was some teenage girls sitting in front of us, and they were all excited. And this one girl, there was probably like 6 of them. They were all together. And this one turned around. She was like, I just wanted to tell you I don't have a relationship with my mom. And I watched your whole show, and I just really pay attention to everything you say, and like your advice you give to your daughters. I'm like crying.
Oh.
I'm like,
well, how nice to be that
I was
big
like,
of
can
an
I give you a
influence?
hug? And she was like, please.
Oh my gosh.
I was
Heidi,
like bawling. But it was like, those moments doesn't get better.
That's a great answer. I think we can wrap up by saying it's no secret that Dixie and Charlie and the D'Amelio family as a whole are massive. So I'm happy to be able to talk to you and see that you're just like you are on social media and the show. No, you're really a real person with a lot of integrity and character, and I think it's a great example for girls like that and younger girls.
Thank you.
You're
I
doing the
appreciate
good work.
I appreciate it. We don't feel that. I mean, people say, oh, you guys are everywhere. I don't feel that, because we're kind of just in our house doing our thing. But thank you, and I hope that if anybody can walk away from either any content we have out or meeting us in person, they realize we're real human beings and trying to do a good thing, like everybody else, or like most people you'd hope.
No, I think it does come off that way.
Absolutely.
And your podcast, I think, is awesome, the way that you guys interact and share things.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
And thanks for making a big
having
impact.
me. Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me here. And I haven't been to Barstool in a long time, so it was nice to be here again.
Barstool will have you anytime.
Yes.
Thank you, Heidi.
That was incredible. She's such a joy to be around and has so much to say. And I have to say, I did not know who she was until you told me to start researching her, and I went down that rabbit hole, and I was so impressed with the Hulu show and her family, and then everything on her TikTok and on her Instagram, and then listening to her podcast with her husband. Their relationship is just to be admired. Anyway, she was great.
She was awesome. And my favorite part about that interview is she's just as she seems on social media, on that show, on the podcast. And afterwards, she just was we walked around the office, she took photos. She's an incredibly down-to-earth person, and you can tell with her, she will always have that.
Yes, that's right.
That will never change about her.
Very confident.
Very confident. Speaking of not knowing who somebody was, we have to address, Kim and I kind of had a little viral TikTok that I'm not proud of.
No, I've been getting a lot of blame for being a bad parent about that.
Yes. It's not good when E! News picks something up. We saw Keanu Reeves on the street.
Yes.
And
I did.
It's great when E! News picks something up.
Say.
But don't read the comments, because they're like, Alex, I hate you. And I'm like, that's fine, guys. I'll take the followers. Thank you.
Yeah. It is pretty amazing you did not know who he was.
So Kim saw Keanu Reeves on the street in New York and was like, I have got to get a photo with
And I
this
don't
guy.
normally do that. I pride myself on just letting celebrities be celebrities, but something kept saying, go back. Go back.
Go back and get the photo.
Get the photo. It's a good thing I did, or my husband may have killed me.
We stood there near him, and she was like, can I please? And I'm like, no one's stopping you. Let's go get the photo.
She kept going, but Mom.
And I was like, who? Because I don't ever know celebrities. People tell me all the time, I'm probably sitting at these restaurants eating, and like, Mark Wahlberg's beside me, and I probably just didn't notice, type thing.
Well, that would be more me. You notice everything. I can't believe that.
I just don't know who people are, is what they're saying. So
yes.
I will notice
In
everything.
Alex's defense, she never watched any TV growing up. I really don't think you watched very much. And you didn't like to go to movies very much. So we would all watch movies and things, and you just were like,
No.
I'm busy.
I have seen John Wick.
You have?
Yes, I have seen the movie. I have seen one John Wick a very long time ago, like on an airplane or something. So when I was in front of the man taking the video,
exactly the same.
I was like, oh, I recognize this guy. Now,
Yeah.
if you pulled up a photo and said, Alex, name this guy, Beck, I wouldn't even know where to begin on what his name is.
And it's not an easy one. It's not John Smith.
It's
No,
not,
no.
it's not like, Leonardo.
Which should also
which
be
is
more
hard to do.
memorable.
Okay, so let's tell the story. So we're standing there, and Kim's like, I've got to go get a photo with him. And I'm like, we're not getting a photo. I didn't tell her this. I'm like, I'm making a TikTok.
But these two guys kept talking to him for a really long time.
Yeah, so I had time I pulled out my
So we
TikTok.
walked away, and I was like, no, I got to go back and get a picture. And you're like, okay. And we went back, and I was like, okay, now we got to stand here and wait for these guys to stop talking
to him.
to him.
That's kind of confusing. So there was two guys like sitting there talking to Keanu, and we're standing off to the side. So I pulled out my phone because Kim's like, I gotta get a photo, and I'm like, okay, whatever. So I got my phone out and I made a TikTok, and I was like, I don't know this guy, and you're like, it's Keanu. I'm so excited. And the best part about it was nobody thought it was actually gonna be Keanu. That's like the number one comment on TikTok.
Really?
Is the guy saying, no way, that's actually gonna be him. And
Oh.
then I'm like,
Oh, you probably thought the same thing. Did you?
I didn't know if it was him. I was like, you know what, whatever. We'll get the photo. I'll post the TikTok. It'll either work or it won't. So we walked over there, and you're like smiling with them, and I don't take a photo. I just take a video on TikTok, and then we posted it, and it has in there me saying, I don't know who Keanu Reeves is. And the internet is so mad.
Yeah, they should be.
They are like, what rock do you live under? And I'm like, I don't.
A big one, a big rock.
People here can attest, like Alyssa and Jordan will bring up people sometimes, and I'm like, I got to Google, or they do a lot of pop culture, and I'm like, I got to Google it. I don't know what we're talking about. Now, you're right. I do notice a lot of things.
Yeah, you do. Mm-hmm.
But that, like, so I can pick up on anything. I can pick up if somebody's 1 minute late on something that we're supposed to be doing, or like if I'm supposed to send a text message. I'm like hyper. I can notice anything.
Yeah.
I, for the life of me, cannot notice.
There's
or
a
know
lot-
a celebrity's name.
There's a lot of celebrities who do not look the same in person that they do, but he looks exactly the same, has the same demeanor, and is kind, very kind.
We ran into Hoda
We
on the
did.
street, and I knew Hoda's name, but I didn't know what Hoda looked like.
Well, no, but Hoda was so friendly. Alex just thought it was some girl that I knew from like at
High
home.
school.
Yeah, she was like, I was like, hi. She goes, hi, and I was like, Alex goes, okay. I go, Alex, will you take our picture? And she was like, okay. And then she goes,
Hoda hugged you, and I was like, oh my gosh, my mom knows this woman from like a previous
Yeah.
life, and they're like, get a photo, and she's like, oh, of course. We take it, we walk off, and I'm like, how did you? She's like, it's Hoda.
I go, God, your dad was just talking about how great he thinks she is, and you don't know who that was.
I didn't have a clue who it was.
How do
So
and
She looks
Hoda,
exactly the same.
Well, Hoda's on a TV show where she's
Daily.
Hoda.
Yeah.
I know, I don't know.
It's not like she's
It's
in
a
makeup
character,
and
yeah.
hair. She's just Hoda Kotb.
I know. The people I'm gonna know are gonna be. I usually know an athlete,
Yeah.
and I got a good shot at knowing like an entrepreneur. Like
Yeah,
a Phil Knight or something like
Or
that.
some
I'll know.
rapper.
I'll know any rapper.
Yeah.
Yeah. But other than that, I
Would
don't.
you know Paul McCartney if you saw him?
No, I don't. I wouldn't be
Oh.
able to. If he was sitting beside me, I don't think I would be like,
No
that is
way.
Paul. No.
That's pretty sad.
I could get Brad Pitt, though, in a heartbeat, or Jennifer Aniston, or like a Reese Witherspoon.
But I guess like that's
Yeah.
more your generation
Yeah.
versus your generation.
that's true.
But
yeah.
but I can do all generations because I'm with it.
You're hip and cool and with it.
You're so cool, Mom.
Yeah, I am.
Everybody, thank you for listening. This is probably going to be my favorite episode.
It is
because-
my favorite episode, and thank you so much, Heidi, for being on the show.
and providing as much value as she did.
You did. It was so easy to interview you. I was pretty nervous.
I know, and you shouldn't be nervous.
I
Mom.
was. I was just kind of like, ooh.
Guys, my mom is. You have
I don't
to,
normally get nervous, but I was kind of nervous.
Well, but people have to understand too. For 30 years, my mom was a mom, and this whole thing came. No, you weren't. That's a huge job, but you don't know how to do a podcast.
Well, you didn't either.
No, I did not. I didn't.
Okay.
I talked to my phone for a long time, though. I did make a lot of videos like that.
I take that back. You knew how because you've been doing it since you were about 7.
Yeah, you've always had a microphone. I
You
like
have.
to interview people, but I'm very proud of you, Mom, because that was
Thank you.
hard to do. And you took it with stride.
Oh, thank you.
Good job.
Is that kind of like, well, I get a comment sometimes on Instagram where people say, Kim, you're really trying really hard and you're really working at it.
People tell you that you're, and you
And
take
I'm like,
that as
what
though you're not
what do you
doing good.
mean? I'm just trying so hard. Is that unusual? Is it bad? Is it still bad?
Somebody said, I'm proud of you for trying the other day, and you were like, that means
I'm still trying.
that I'm not, that I haven't arrived yet, but I'm still in the effort stage.
Yeah. That's okay. I should always be in the effort stage.
Always, you know what? Never get complacent.
Kim gets an A for effort every day.
Thank you.
Every single day that she gets up, you're the girl in the arena.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Okay, everybody, next week we'll be back. We'll be in studio before we go home for the holidays. So like, comment, subscribe. We're on YouTube and all the podcast forums. Follow us on Instagram. And we love you. Thank you for listening.
And go out and be very nice to someone.
Yeah, spread kindness today. And call your mom and tell her that you love her.
Yes. And be nice to strangers because you don't know if they're having a hard day.
That's amen to
Or
that.
Especially during the holidays.
Or if they're Keanu Reeves.
Or if they're Keanu Reeves.
And that should be the mic drop of them all.
Yeah.
Be nice because you just don't know if he was in the Matrix. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Bye.